We are truly honored to welcome Dr. Thanusha Perera, the head of the Department of Applied Sciences at Lincoln University College, Sri Lanka, as our second distinguished guest speaker today.
Dr. Thanusha Perera is the head of the department at the Faculty of Applied Sciences at Lincoln University, Sri Lanka, where she leads the biotechnology, biomedical sciences, and medical imaging programs. She earned her PhD in molecular biology and biochemistry from the University of Peradeniya, which has significantly shaped her research and academic career. Dr. Perera's research expertise cover a broad range of topics, including probiotics and fermentation products, and various experimental techniques such as in vitro and in vivo animal experiments, animal cell culture, cell toxicity, and cell viability testing. Her work has made significant contribution to the critical health issues, including serum biomarkers and histopathology related to chronic kidney disease of unknown etiology Sri Lanka, tuberculosis, leishmaniasis, and leprosy. In addition, Dr. Perera has contributed to evaluating standardized mortality rates pre- and post-COVID-19 vaccination and identifying risk factors for gestational diabetic mellitus and investigating measles outbreak among children in Colombo. She has also advanced diagnostic imaging techniques, including the use of chest and sinus X-ray for diagnosing sinusitis and renal calculi, and analyzing Hounsfield unit values and standardized uptake values in liver imaging studies, ossification and of the cipisternal joint in forensic medicine, and many more. We're delighted to invite Dr. Thanusha Perera to share the guidelines for oral and poster presentations. Madam, over to you.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Right. So good evening to everyone. So I'm delighted to be here to guide you through some essential tips and best practices for delivering effective oral and poster presentations. So whether you are preparing for a conference, a workshop, or any other event where you'll be sharing your work, having a clear understanding of these guidelines can make all the differences. So let's get started. Right, so before moving to guidelines, we'll see what is a conference presentation. So a conference presentation is a formal communication delivered at a conference, seminar, or symposium, or any similar academic or professional gathering. So these presentations serves as a means for researchers, scholars, and then professionals and also experts to share their work, their findings, and like insights with the wider audience. So presenters, they discuss their latest findings, theories, or any methodologies that is providing new knowledge or the perspectives of their field, right? So they can also highlight new techniques, new technologies, or like they can discover that could influence their field. So therefore, basically, this is facilitate the exchange of ideas and then fostering collaborations and showcase the latest research and developments in a given area of study, right? So based on the difference in the content and the intended audience, conference presentations can be divided as academic presentations, research presentations, and then the thesis presentations, and also grant proposal presentation. So here we are mainly focusing, I'm mainly focusing on research presentations. That is a visual version of a paper or a research, right? So if it's a kind of summary of your research paper. So if it's like that, then what's the difference between an abstract and a presentation, right? So abstract means it's a brief summary that include at the beginning of a research paper. And the purpose of the abstract is to provide a quick overview for the reader, that is to determine if the full paper is relevant to their interest or not, right? So as an example, when you are writing a literature review or any other research paper or something, first you need to find out the related papers that is related to your research topic. So in that case, we can't read all the papers we have to read the papers and see whether the paper is related to your research or not, right? So in that case, we have to spend a lot of time to read all these articles. So sometimes if you read 10 or 15 papers, only one may be directly related to your research topic, right? So in that case, what we can do is we can read the abstract part and see, because that's a brief of the research article. So you can read the abstract and see whether that is related to your topic or not, right? So likewise, presentation is also a summary, but here we are using presentations with using slides or any other visual aids, right? So presentations can be more detailed than abstract. And also we can include graphs, charts, and images to make the research more understandable and engaging. But for abstracts, generally we are not adding charts, graphs, or any images, right? So, and also during presentations, they are typically allow for interaction, and then the questions and also discussions, right? So both abstracts and presentations, they aim to make the research accessible, but cater to different contexts and formats, right? So during the conference, you will either hold an oral presentation or a poster presentation. So that is basically decided by the reviewer. So once you submit your abstract, the reviewers will go through the abstract and see whether to accept it or reject it. If it's accepted, then they will decide to present it as an oral presentation or a poster presentation, right? So oral presentation means basically they are the standard form of presentations where the speaker share details about their research questions, methodologies, findings, and all the other main areas of the research. So generally it lasts between 15 to 20 minutes. So generally students, student presentations emphasize on student work, and then offer them an opportunity to share their work with the academic community. When it comes to poster presentation, there are less formal platform that to share your work in a visual format, right? So we are presenting it as a poster. The name itself says, right? So presenters, they summarize their work in a visual appealing poster, and they will display it on a display board, and then attendees, they can read it and they can understand, right? So in summary, both oral and poster presentations, they serve as integral component of conferences, that is for promoting the exchange of knowledge among researchers and also professionals in different fields, in diverse fields, right? So that is the main difference between these two types. So when we move to the guidelines of the oral presentation, so the time duration for oral presentation is like 10 minutes. Like it can be vary from 15 to 20 minutes. So if it's 15 minutes the total time duration. Generally, the presenter will receive 10 minutes for the presentation, followed by 5 minutes of question and answer session. So if the if audience, if they have questions or if they have any doubts to clarify, so they can ask questions from the researcher or the presenter. So then the presentation should be delivered in English in most of the conferences, right? And we had to prepare the presentation in PowerPoint format. So then, if you see the structure of your presentation, basically the first slide will be the title slide, right? So this title slide generally includes title of the presentation, authors' names, and the affiliations, right? So this content can be varied from one conference to another, right? So like some conferences, they will ask to add the paper ID, then the area of study, and sometimes institutional logos, etc. So when you are preparing getting ready for a presentation, so you should be carefully read the guidelines before you prepare the presentations, right? So you need to fulfill their requirements as well. We need to stick to their guidelines. So when we see this structure of presentation, right? Apart from the title page, then that includes these areas, that is introduction, methodology, results, discussion, conclusion, references, and acknowledgement. So Professor Neelika, she provided an excellent and comprehensive explanation about abstract writing, including all these areas. So since that topic has already been well covered, I won't explain this in detail here, but I will go through these sections, right? So if you take the introduction section, start with the brief overview of the problem or the question you are addressing, right? So you need to provide context that explain why it is important to carry out that research, right? So that you have to mention in the introduction section in brief, right? And the next section is the methodology. So this here summarize your research methods and designs. So if you have used any new techniques, any methods, then you can mention it here. And new approaches or techniques, you can include here. And you can explain briefly how you have conducted the research. And also you can explain the data analysis methods or softwares that you have used, but not in detail, in brief. And then after methodology, you can include the results section. So there, present your main findings clearly, right? So you can use visuals like graphs, charts, then images if you have, that is to support your data and highlight significant results. So rather than adding paragraphs, right, for the results, we prefer to add colored visuals like graphs, because that is, we can clearly give the idea to the audience rather than reading. People, they like to see, and that will directly go to their mind. So better to add visuals like graphs, images, and charts instead of adding paragraphs into the results section. And then when it comes to the discussion, in this, interpret your results and discussion, interpret your results into the discussion, and then you can consider your findings, and then you can also discuss the limitation, considering your findings mean for the field, and any limitations of your studies can be included into that. You can compare your results with other studies and discuss in the discussion section. And in the conclusion section, you can summarize the key takeaways and also potential future directions for the research. And also you can include recommendations, right? So mainly you are giving the your findings and recommendations. And also in the references, you can add few key references, like when you are writing a research paper or a thesis or something, you will have like, more than 50 references. But we can't include everything into this presentation. So you have to select few key references, main references, and you can add within a slide, right? And then finally, you can also add a slide for the acknowledgement. If you have any funding sources or any contributors, you can add the acknowledgement slide. So this is the basic, the structure for your presentation, right? So when you are preparing the presentation, you need to clearly, you need to know about the effective visual aids, right? You have to use it very clearly. So visual aids, they can enhance your presentation. They can increase the audience understanding about the topic, and also explain, you can explain very clearly when we are using this perfectly, right? So like if you take the slides, so when you're preparing the slides, you can use the slides, you can use slides to support your spoken words, not to replace them, right? So keep them clear, simple, and uncluttered, right? So very brief sentences, not paragraphs, right? So you can use point, you can add the points with bullets, right? Point wise you can add, but it should be very clear, right? And also use a uniform theme and color scheme if you are using any theme or a color, right? So don't overcrowd your slides with information, right? Whatever you have, you can't add everything to your slides, right? So first you need to summarize them, and then you need to arrange it according to the order, right? So please don't overcrowd your slides with information, whatever you have. You need to include only the main points, right? And then when you are using text, you can use bullet points and brief text, that is to highlight key ideas in your research, right? So be sure to choose colors and fonts that are easily read when projected, right? So sometimes people, they use white color letters. So when we project it, so then we can't see them clearly. If you use light color for the text, right? Then the color of the font should be contrast well with the background. So it can also use, you can use numbers to number the slides, because sometimes you make in some cases things get lost, deleted, or sometimes they will be mixed up, right? So in that case, you can rearrange it according to your numbers, right? And then when it comes to visuals, you can give your visual aids color, right? So because colors will help understanding, and also that helps people remember the information, right? So you can use pictures, you can use graphs and diagrams, right? Instead of adding words. So always reduce the amount of spoken words. Like for an example, if you are adding, for an example, you may show a graph of your results rather than reading them out, right? So, but always keep them simple, very simple, right? So if you don't have to write words, then use single words, or you can use short phrases rather than sentences. So always don't overcrowd your slides it should be very clear and very brief, right? So these things you should be keep in mind when you are preparing your presentations, right? And also engage your audience is also very important, especially the eye contact, right? So eye contact creates bond between the speaker and the listener, right? So that connection is very beneficial to both parties, right? So when you are making eye contact, try to scan different parts of the audience rather than just focusing on one area, right? So like make sure that by the end of your presentation, you have made eye contact with everyone, every individual, if you have a small audience, right? Or else every section of a crowd if you have a big audience, because if you have more, if it's crowded, then we can't give the individual attention. So in that case, section wise, you can keep the eye contact, right? And also when it comes to body language, your gesture and movements can help illustrate and emphasize your points, right? But make sure your movements are purposeful and not distracting, right? So when you are moving, if it's not suits to your presentation, if it's not suit to your audience, then you should not do that, right? So always you should have an idea about the audience and the crowd that is present in front of you. And then the other factor is the voice. So varying your tone and volume can keep your audience engaged and highlight important parts, right? Sometimes pauses can also be powerful because you can give time to your audience to absorb the information, right? But always make sure that your body language, your eye contact, body language and the eye contact should match your voice and words, right? So they should not contradict, right? So if, as an example, if you want to say something positive, right? But your body language and eye contact show something negative, right? So in that case, your audience will not believe you. So therefore, these three should go together, right? So these are the general guidelines for the poster oral presentation. So now we will see what is poster presentation and what are the guidelines for poster presentations. So poster is usually, it's a mixture of a brief text and then mixture with tables, graphs, pictures, and other presentation formats. So at a conference, researchers, they stand by the poster and they will display their posters in front of some place, right? So then the audience or the judge panel or the people who are interested, they will come and see the poster and they will have interact with the presenter, right? Some people consider posters to be less important than the oral presentation, right? So I don't know why. Maybe because the oral presentations involve direct interaction and real-time engagement with the audience. But poster presentations are also important like oral presentation. Right? So because there are some advantages of presenting your research as a poster presentation, because if you see, posters can be viewed during at last several hours, right? So for presentations, we will get only 10 to 15 minutes, but posters will be displayed throughout the day, right? And also data and graphics on posters, they are available as long as individual wish, right? But whatever the things that were included into the presentation will end up within the time period, right? And also another factor is that viewers, they can go forward and backward throughout the poster, and they can see it again and again. They can refer the poster again and again, not like presentations, right? So presentations, once we shift to the next slide, so then the audience will not see the previous slide, right? And also like the posters, they allow you to move, personally interact with the people who are interested, right? Like oral presentations, we will do it to present it to the audience. Whether they are like it or not, they have to listen. But in case of oral presentations, those who are interested, they will come to you and they will ask questions and they will interact with the presenter. So these are some of the advantages of having poster presentations. So both are important, not only the oral presentation, both oral and poster presentations, both are important to present your research or present your studies, right? So when it comes to guidelines for poster presentations, so generally the size of the poster will be 4 feet by 3 feet. So this is the general size, but the size can be varied from one conference to another, right? So for some 4 by 6 feet something, it goes something like that. And also text is clear and to the point, right? So you can use bullets, numbers, headings, that makes it easy to read. And also you can use graphs, different colors, different size of fonts, different fonts and different font sizes you can include to your poster presentation. So the poster will be displayed throughout the conference. And if we see the format of the poster, so generally, on the top of the poster, you will find the title. So make sure your title is shorter and clearly reflect the content of your research, right? And also it should be large enough to be readable from a distance, because when we are displaying it on a board, right? So people, they see from different places, right? So they should be readable from a distance. And underneath the title includes the author's names and the institutional affiliations. So after that, you can organize your research content into different layouts. So that is, you can organize your poster into clear sections like introduction and objective, the methodology, results, discussion, conclusion, and references. Right? So that, of course, the content we have discussed in the oral presentation slide. So same thing will be applicable for the poster presentations as well. Right? So here you can use headings, subheadings, that is to guide the viewer, right? And also you can arrange different sections in a logical flow. That is, logical flow means that is typically people, they read from left to right and top to bottom, right? So you can arrange your content in this logical format. And when it comes to font size, you can choose clear, readable font size. Like generally for the title, we will use large font size. And then for the subheadings, slightly smaller font size. And also when it goes to the text, the body text should be readable from the distances. So that is like, we can go like up to 36 font size for the body text. And when it goes to the color scheme, you can use contrasting colors for text and backgrounds. That is also the main purpose, is to ensure the readability. So, and then for the visuals, you can include high quality images, graphs, charts, that is support your content. So when you are adding these visuals, make sure they are clear and well labeled, right? So, and also these visuals should be directly related to the information presented in your poster, right? So this is the general format for the poster presentation. Slightly this can be changed based on the conference or based on your requirements. So the spaces and the content, like sometimes some people they use research and discussion into one section. So likewise, it can be varied, but this is the very basic general format for the oral presentation. So then for both oral and poster presentations, professionalism is very important, right? So dress appropriately is very important, because dressing appropriately for a formal presentation is crucial, because it helps convey professionalism and also confidence, right? So first and foremost, you should know the dress code for the event or organization. So different settings will have, they have different levels of formalities, like from business casual to black tie formal. So before you, when you are preparing, ensure you are aware about their expectations. So apart from the dresses, the respect time is also very important, because time is so important, because when you are presenting, you are not only using your time, you are using your audience time as well, right? So if a time limit has been set for your presentation, then it's your responsibility to finish it within that time, right? So you need to consider that as well, because it is very important, because if you have not stick to the time, right, the judge panel will stop your presentation in between, right? So then you have to finish it. They will give 1 minute time, so you have to finish it within that time duration. So you will not take enough time to explain your entire research, right? Especially your conclusions. And there's a very excited announcement. So that is, we are excited to announce that selectable oral and poster presentations will be awarded at the closing ceremony held on the 17th September 2024. So this is a fantastic opportunity to showcase your hard work. So be sure to bring your best to the presentation and make the most of the chance to shine. So good luck to everyone, and we look forward to seeing your incredible work. Thank you very much.
The audience is now open for questions. Seems like there are no questions. So thank you so much, ma'am. We are certain that your session will be informative and inspiring to everyone here today. Let me extend sincere gratitude for your presence. We saw that there were so many questions in the chat related to Professor Neelika Malavige's lecture, but due to the busy schedule, Professor Neelika Malavige has already left the meeting. Hopefully, we will be joining with us at our physical event, and we'll try to have a panel discussion with her. Hopefully, otherwise, we will try our best to arrange a technical workshop with her. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of another enriching day at the annual Scientific Session 2024. The presentations, discussions, and interactions that were shared have been truly inspiring. Before concluding,